Hello, welcome back. This is the last workshop for today, and I'm very happy to introduce you to Bejal Joshi. She's the founder of International Women in Science, and she is giving us an overview today about two rising stars in the medtech scene. The one is the company called Popit from Finland, and the CEO Timu is here. And the other one is a Swiss Canadian company. It's called Swiss Ward System, and Peggy is also here. And having said that, I would say over to you, Bejal. The floor is yours. We will, yes, I hand over to you. The floor is yours, Bejal.
Thank you so much, Petra. Well, I'd just like to say thank you for this opportunity and for allowing us to be part of this amazing event. Just a very brief, International Women in Science is really excited to be part of this virtual event. We're an organization who are focused on collaborating and combining our collective experience, which we feel informs and guides the direction of scientific, technical, and digital innovation progression. I'm very excited to introduce two companies who are looking at pushing these boundaries, especially during unprecedented times. Pirianen, hopefully I'm good in writing, co-founder of Pocket, a Finnish startup focused on the adherence, and we'll hear from him after. And then we've got Peggy, as Petra mentioned, CFO of Swiss where they're kind of thinking outside of the box. So I'd like to invite Team, welcome. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about Pocket? I think you have a very interesting company.
Yeah, thank you, Bejal. So that the problem what we are addressing is that 50% of patients, they are not taking their medication as prescribed. This is causing significant avoidable cost for the healthcare payers, but most importantly, patients are not getting the best possible treatment outcome. Popit has provided a unique solution how we make sure that the patients are taking their medication correctly, and then also tracking that how the medications are taken. It consists of three different components. One is a small device, then it's a mobile application, our cloud service. And each time when the patient is taking their medication, the device detects automatically that the pill has been taken, and that data is then sent to the mobile app. And the mobile application is then making sure that the patient is following the right treatment, and then provides the guidance with their patient journey.
Oh, thank you for that. That's really interesting. And I know it's been a very tough year for startups. Could you share 2 or 3 highlights over the past year, perhaps 2, that are really important for you and for Pocket?
Yeah, well, maybe the first one is that I think that one key moment was that when we got the medical device certification, and then we passed 2 world biggest pharma companies audit. So that at this point, our life became much more easier, and this created also credibility to work with other global pharma companies. And passing a pharma company's audit is never easy task, especially for a startup company when you need to allocate resources to do all kind of process development and documentation. But now if I look back and all the work effort what we have done, I think that has paid back fully. Because currently we have customers in 9 different countries, and we are working with pharma companies like Pfizer and Novartis and many other global players. But then the second highlight, I would say that it's coming from last year, and it's really rewarding highlight because together with our pharma customer, we were able to bring the baseline adherence of patient was 55%. And together with the pharma company, we were able to provide with this to over 85% level. So that this 30% adherence uplift, what Popit was able to bring, was a remarkable improvement for the treatment outcome. And And I think that that's something what is really kind of great to see, that when the actual end user are having a real impact in their daily life.
I think it sounds like Poppet has had some positive traction. And just going back to your product milestones, do you have data to support its impact in healthcare?
Well, yes. I think that the most powerful data point, what I already mentioned, is this 30% adherence uplift. This is really highlighting that the Poppet solution is providing real benefit for the patient, and as an end result, it delivers a better treatment outcome. Our goal is to provide a Poppet solution to hundreds of millions of patients globally. But this is, of course, something that the startup company cannot do by ourselves. We need partners, and we have chosen to partner with the pharma companies, because these giants, they have really global presence. They have all the needed resources to reach all the patients globally. And in our collaboration, we are leveraging the pharma companies' global coverage, so that then we can deliver the solution to as many people as possible. An example with one of our pharma customers, during the last year, we were able to deliver Poppet solution to over 25% of all new diagnosed patients. And this would not be possible without a collaboration with these big companies, especially during the COVID, what was impacting a bit on every aspect on healthcare.
Thank you, Timo. Don't go away just yet. I'd like to introduce Piggy Bunsley and kind of bring her into the conversation. Peggy's from Swiss Vault here in Basel, Switzerland. Welcome, Peggy.
Hi.
Could you tell us briefly about Swiss Vault, please?
Yes, and hi, Bejal. So nice to be here today. Thank you for having me. So as you know, there's an enormous amount of data that we collect across the world for all sorts of reasons, a multitude of reasons. And we take that data and we analyze it. And data really has become the new gold in the world. And just to give an example, which is very close to us at the moment, if you think about the amount of data that's been collected just around COVID, right? So that data has been used for everything, including contact tracing, which we all talk about a lot, but also, and really perhaps far more importantly, this data has been used by countries to make policy decisions for health and finance. And those decisions have had literally life impact for people. It's affected saving lives, and it's also had, for good and for bad, long-term global economic impact. So that data, collecting it, storing it, understanding it is super, super important. And data is growing, the collection of data, so that's just one example, but data is growing all over the world. And in fact, we're expecting data to grow by 500% between now and 2025. So it's a huge amount of data and a lot of importance in managing that data. Additionally, the storing of data actually uses a ton of energy. So at the moment, for example, 3% of global energy production is used in data centers. And that's expected to grow to 10% by 2025. So clearly that's not sustainable. So given those two things, Swiss Vault has addressed that issue and come up with a solution. And what we do is we build data systems, data management systems that are 1/5 the size and use 1/5 the energy of the current standard. So we build systems that are easy to use, they're plug and play, they're affordable, and we have unique design and hardware-software integration, which allows that to be the case. So one of the things that this can do, for example, if you think about the healthcare center, is that it allows that data to be on site, because you can build in a small space, you can scale, it's easy to use, and it doesn't require a large amount of infrastructure or cooling. So again, for the hospitals sector, then that allows them to have that data, which sometimes can be quite sensitive. So for example, one of the big data sets that you see in the world is genomics, and that data is extremely private and sensitive, but it's also very important to the delivery of precision medicine. So if a hospital has the ability to use our systems easily, affordably, managing, scaling up with this growth of their data, but also helping to protect the security of that data. That's extremely important. And so that's one of the very important things that we're trying to deliver.
Peggy, thank you very much. That's a question for me now.
Okay.
You know what I think is, you have, your company has received a lot of awards last year. And you know what, we all know these kind of inflation of awards, However, let us know, first of all, which award is the most important one and why is it important for you to get these awards?
Thank you for that question. Yes, we're very fortunate to have received several awards. That's a tough question to say which one is the most important, so I'm going to cheat a little and talk at least about two. But one of the very important awards that we've received is that we did receive, and again through some additional funding that's been made possible in order to respond to COVID, we received funding from the European Innovation Commission through the Horizon 2020 program, and we actually received approximately 2 million Swiss francs, 1.7 million euros, in order to develop our high efficiency product. And so that's been extremely important to us because that's actually allowing us to complete the development of that product and to bring that to the market, bring that to hospitals, as I mentioned before, for the reasons that's valuable to them, which we hope to do by 2022. One other award that I really would like to mention is that we received the Solar Impulse Foundation label, and Solar Impulse Foundation, if you know, is started by Bertrand Piccard. And that recognizes our product for its sustainability, because that's also something that's extremely important to us. One of our goals as a company is to reduce the carbon footprint of data. And so we're very pleased to have received that award, which gives us that validation of our product, but also connects us to a whole world of entrepreneurs, businesses, investors who are interested also in the protection of the environment. And so we're happy to work with them on that.
Very good. So fingers crossed that you can still work with the Horizon 2021, given the fact that Switzerland is not really related to the European Union. However, fingers crossed. I have a question for Temu.
Yes.
So I had a look at your really exciting app and I see what you're doing, really, really super exciting. However, my question now, given the fact that the majority of people who are taking pills normally are elderly people, so normally if someone is 20, normally they are young, they don't take any pills, how do you overcome the hurdles that those people are not, let's say, naturally used to working with apps, etc., etc.? Are there any rejections, or how do you work with these, or is this an issue at all?
Well, maybe the one interesting highlight what we can say is that people normally think that it's my dad or mom who forgets to take the medication, but actually it's not the elderly patient who are the problem. Based on our data, the younger patients, they are actually worse with the adherence. The people who are active in work life, like you and me, and in case that they have the biggest problem because they have the active life. So that to answer your question, that I would say that the people who has the problem to remember to take the medication, they are quite familiar with the application to use those. And then just like a small information that in case someone needs to take the medication, you need to pay attention for the Saturdays and Sundays, because these are the most difficult days to remember to take the medication if you're not using COVID.
Okay, I also have another question,
yes.
And that's also from the audience. He is like, how do you really make money? Who's the one who's paying for that? Are you partnering with pharmaceutical companies? Are you partnering with hospitals, with doctors?
Yeah, our business model is that we partner with pharma companies. So basically the pharma company is paying fees to us, and then at the end the consumer or the patient, they get free of charge the service to use with the dedicated medication of this pharma company.
And when you started this, like you directly partnered with these pharmaceutical companies, or what is the reason for them partnering with you?
Originally we started the consumer business, but quite soon we noticed that the consumers are not willing to pay, because normally they get the medication free of charge, so they don't like to pay something what is tied to medication. But then soon we realized that the pharma company, they have an interest and to promote these kind of services to get a better treatment outcome. So then we switched the model to partnering with the pharma companies, and then also that we got a really good interest from pharma companies side globally when we started to promote this service to consumers. So it was a bit of combination.
So that was kind of your learnings, you know what? And what I would like to ask you, and also Peggy, is like, maybe I start with you, Timo, is like, what would you say when you were starting your business? What was the biggest challenge, other than patients are not willing to pay? Something everyone is facing. What was your biggest challenge, or what would you give as an advice to someone who's starting business in your area, in the medical or telehealth area?
I would say that being a startup company and working with the world's biggest pharma companies that are like really big, it's not easy. And you need to understand in detail level how each pharma company is organized globally and what is the best way to collaborate with these giants. And you can easily spend years for just discussing about the possible collaboration without any concrete actions. So I would say that there are two key items. It's the product fit and who is the right person inside the pharma company. Because when you have a really simple product offering that fits into the pharma company's internal agenda, and then you have the right person inside the organization who wants to deliver this to the patient, then it's really possible to impact millions of people's lives and make a global impact.
Sure. Peggy, the same question for you. And what do you think was the biggest, or is the biggest challenge? What's the biggest challenge? And what would be your advice to anyone who also want to start business in the healthcare area?
So I would say that our biggest challenge comes from the fact that the current standard in data storage is something that's existed since the introduction of Morse code. And so people really think that that's the only way to do things. And so since we've come up with an idea that's so completely different in form factor, that the challenge is to help people understand why it's okay to make that change. And I think Bejal mentioned earlier the idea of thinking outside of the rack. The rack is the traditional storage system, and so we have something different. So it's really working with people to help them understand how what we have can be valuable, even though it's a different form factor. And that's going to exist in so many different companies and so many different startups. When you're coming up with something new, you're challenging the status quo, and that can be very difficult, particularly when you have large players in the market. And so what I would say to anyone starting is don't give up, because believe in your solution. If you know that it's something valuable, and we know that ours is, for example, and the sustainability and impact is so important, and also the question of data privacy is so important, and these are being recognized as important, that they're helping everyone sort of see that there are different ways of doing things. So don't give up.
So that's basically the advice we also heard this morning from Sarah from Pakistan. She also said, if you believe in your business model, don't give up. And, you know, I think the time is more or less already gone. And I do apologize that I had to take over from Bejal, but for some reason, Bejal's internet connection somehow crashed. And for all who are listening to us, I have to say, maybe we have an issue today because we have huge amounts of snow here in the mountains and in Switzerland. And we just heard some knowledge from telecom companies that we had some issues. So sorry for that. And I would like to thank everyone, Bejal from Basel, Peggy from Basel, and Timo from Finland for joining us today. And we do hope that we're going to see you again at Davos Digital Forum. We have a big edition in September. This is our traditional Davos Digital Forum under the big umbrella of Smart City. Health will play an important role. We do hope that we can all welcome you then here physically in Davos. And having said that, and you see the clock is ticking, we are on time. Thank you very much. Have a great day. And for all those who are still here, please stay with us. There are two more keynotes coming from the US. One from Dr. Kari Nadeau from the Stanford University, Environmental Effects on Health Revealed by Digital Health. And the last keynote, also from US, from Dr. Tahir Farid, and he is talking about telehealth and technology meets health. Having said that, thank you very much and bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Petra. Thank you, Bejal.